Yes, are we live? We are live. Good morning, folks, and welcome to Mark's Morning Business Check-in. Today is the 13th of January, so welcome aboard. We started doing this show on the 6th of January, and I do it every weekday from 7:30 for about 20 minutes, just talking about my experience and me being Mark Beggs, and my experience of running businesses, mostly my own, over the last 35 years, and just talking and tips and people who have maybe challenges going ahead in business, and maybe giving out some things that have worked for me and some things that have not worked for me, to make sure that you don't repeat some of the same mistakes I made, which is very important. So we are live on Facebook, we are live on Instagram, we are live on YouTube, and we are live on TikTok as well. So we're out there all over the world, as the song says. If you do have any questions, just email me, markbeggs@gmail.com, or you can ask them live on the show. And if you missed any of our shows, all our shows are on YouTube at Mind's Eye Education. So on YouTube at Mind's Eye Education, you'll see all our shows there. So just to continue on our theme from yesterday, mental health. One of the biggest challenges of working for yourself, as I said yesterday, is that you are by yourself. Unless you're in partnership with someone else, if you've started your own business, you've taken the risk yourself, you've gone out there and you're doing it on your own. You may employ staff, you may employ a management team, you may employ all those types of people. But at the end of the day, you're still on your own. It's still you. And one of the challenges you need to do, and I talk about this in my new book, You Need a Neck Like a Jockey's Bollocks to Be an Entrepreneur. It's actually in the TikTok shop. If anybody wants to buy this, the paperback, it's out there. I always say you need to find a shoulder to cry on. And one of the reasons behind this is very simple. The problem with stress, and stress that very badly affects your mental health. If you're running your own business and you're losing sleep and you're not sleeping right, and you're getting stressed every single day because of one or two challenges that you don't know how to handle them. And those challenges could be finding new business. It could be keeping the doors open. It could be keeping the lights on. It could be keeping the phones on. It could be even working out how you're going to pay staff this week or this month. And it could be anything, right? Because when you run your own business, everything is a challenge. Everything is a challenge. Because if everything wasn't a challenge and everything was very easy to do, everyone will be doing it. Everyone will be running their own business. Like, you have people saying that they do side hustles. That's not really running your own business. A side hustle is not running your own business, because when you have a side hustle, you also are in a job full time. So if someone is paying you every week or every month to do your other job. So when you have a side hustle, you don't really have any risk. Now, if you think I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But you don't really have any risk, because most people do the side hustle in the evening or during their work time. But they do in the evening, so they still are going to have the wages coming in every week or every month, so they still get that paycheck. So having a side hustle is not working for yourself, right? You like to think it is, but really working for yourself is that you've taken the risk, you've given up a job, and you've gone out and done something for yourself. You don't have a backup plan at the moment, because some people say, well, I'll get another job if something doesn't work out. It's very hard to go back to work for somebody else. First of all, they mightn't look at you favorably because you've worked for yourself, right? So believe it or not, many entrepreneurs are very slow. Many big companies are slow to employ people who have worked for themselves. And the longer you've worked for yourself, the lot harder it is to get a job with somebody else. So we're talking about people who really work for themselves, who really are self-employed. And so you could have a big challenge. And the problem with stress and the problem with all that is, the longer stress goes on, your body starts to get sick. Like your mind, you can't sleep. So if you can't sleep, you're not giving your body time to heal and to regenerate all the cells, everything else within your body. And you're not giving your head time to relax and other things while you're asleep. And so you are going, it's just natural. If you don't sleep and you stress an awful lot, you're going to get unwell. And then you're going to go to the doctor. Then you're going to go on pills. And that's why it's very important to have a plan, not just for when you start your own business, but have a plan for how you're going to manage yourself. How are you going to look after yourself when business is not going great? Because the reality is, when you work for yourself, no matter what company you work for, business does not always go great. Business is up and down, in and out. It just never goes great all the time. If it did, every single person would be working for themselves, and that's the reality of life. So managing that stress, as I said yesterday, that's why I'm talking about it today as well, because I got one or two questions in. Managing that stress is so important. It's so important that you find that person, or you find the outlet to allow yourself to switch off. Because I was listening to James Sinclair, who has a fantastic podcast, and you should listen to her, the James Sinclair podcast. And he was telling us the story last week how very recently he broke his leg. He slipped on ice, and a bone came through his knee. And one of the first things he did before he went in for the operation, even though he was in a lot of pain, one of the first things, because he runs a multi-million-pound business, he had to ring the bank to tell them that he wouldn't be online for a couple of days, and would they make sure they look after everything for him and process the payroll and process other stuff. You had to hand over the baton of power of the business to one of his senior management team and let everybody else know that this person is now in charge while he's out of action for a few days. Because he to get I think it was one operation. I think he needs an operation, but because he was in so much pain, James was out for the count. And he said, this is the problem, is that when you work for yourself, you cannot take a sick day. And when you're forced to take a sick day, a real sick day, like breaking your leg, going in for an operation to have a reset and all that, you have to have a plan for someone else to run your business. Because one, your customers don't really care if you're sick or you've had an accident. They still want that product or service delivered. That's the reality of life. And if you don't deliver that product or service, they'll go somewhere else. They just will, right? And your creditors still want to be paid. They might give you a small bit of leeway, but equally they're running a business and they want that, and it's their job to collect money that's outstanding. So they might give you a bit of a leeway of a few days or a week, but they won't give you much more of a leeway. So you still have to pay them, even though you could be sitting in bed with a broken leg, or ill, or the flu, or COVID, or whatever it is, and you're very unwell. You still have to make sure that your business is running and that all elements are still running while you're unwell. And you have to find ways while you're unwell to get the money to pay your creditors, to pay your wage bill, to pay all the stuff that's coming due. You have to find a way to make sure that your customers are still getting the level of service that you expect them to get. And that's a hard calling. If you only have yourself in the company and you're not long going and there's still only you, well then the whole business is affected. And if you listen to the James Sinclair podcast, and James does one every single week, and it's extremely good, and also he has a newsletter that he does every single week. But he was saying he was lucky because he also had a team. Because he runs a multi-million-pound business, he has a whole team. It's a leisure business, so he has a whole management team in the different businesses that he has. So he could say to all those people and pick one of them to run the business for the next week. His business is big enough that he could ring the bank and say, look, I'm going to be out of action. I failed. I broke my leg. We can make sure everything is processed for me. When I come back, I'll get everything sorted out if we have missed anything. But if you're working for yourself, really working for yourself, now, James works for himself, but he has a whole team. But if you work for yourself and it's only you, the challenge is who is going to run your business when you're unwell? And that's all part of planning when you start your own company, planning and managing your mental health. Because all these things are worries. And one of the best ways is, and I do it every day, myself and my wife are both self-employed, that we go out for at least one long walk every day, if not two, depending on the weather. And up to recently, we're running and walking, and we're going to go back into running very shortly. With the weather the way it is, I'm not a person who likes running in the cold. I just do not like, same way I don't like playing golf in the cold. I just do not like running. So it's not like Pope Leo. Thanks very much. So I do not like running in the cold, but I'll be back running very soon. But it's a great way if you're out walking, you're chatting away, you're getting things out of your head, or you're out for a run, listen to music, or just listen to nature around you, and you're running. And if you're like me, I'm not a great runner, so I have to concentrate on staying alive. At least just took 3. I'm flying. How's your morning? My morning's going great, Shane. Thanks very much. So find a way. And as I say in my new book, you need a neck like a jockey's bollocks to be an entrepreneur. And you can buy it if you're on a TikTok shop at the moment, or you can buy it on our website, mindsighteducation.com. But you do need to find someone. You need to find someone that you can rely on, that you can talk to. You need to find a way to manage your stress levels if you're working for yourself. You need to find a way to manage your anxiety and manage your worry. And one of the simpler ways to manage all that type of stuff, you've heard it before, and you're going to hear it again and again and again from people, is simply write down what the problem is. Most times, if you write down, I don't mean just write one line. I mean, write the whole problem down. Even if it takes up a paragraph, write the whole problem. What is causing you so much stress in your business at the moment? What is it? Is it because you're short of money? You're not sure how you're going to pay your staff or your suppliers this week? Is it you're going to lose a customer, or you just lost a customer, and how is that going to affect your business? Is it you think that you've done the wrong thing and you need to go back working for someone else? Write it down, even 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines. Just write it down. Because suddenly when you write it down, you read it again and read it again and read it again, solutions will start to pop into your head. Solutions will start to come to you on what you should do to solve that problem, right? And it's a very simple way. They tell you to write down your goals, and they do. And the reason for that is it gets out in the open, out of your head, out there. Writing down your problems is also a great way to go. And one thing I tried years ago, and it works really well, is what's the worst case scenario that can happen because of that problem? What's the worst case? And sometimes if you start from the worst case, like you're going to lose your business. That's the worst case. Bring your mind to the very worst case. I'm going to lose my business. I'm going to have to close everything down. And then work backwards on finding solutions so that doesn't happen. So if you get used to the worst case scenario, your stress level will start to fall, because suddenly, well, the worst case is now I've lost one customer. Okay, I'm still in business. I'm still going. I'm still doing well. So go to the worst case. No matter what the problem is, the bank's going to pull my funding. That customer is going to take all the business off me. That customer will never pay me. Go to the worst case scenario and then work back from it. And when you work back from it, you start to see it from a different angle and a different perspective. I'm lucky, I'm dyslexic. So people who are dyslexic, who run their own business, they can see problems in 3D. We also can see problems before they arise, and we can see solutions. So we have a unique ability. That's why an awful lot of self-employed and entrepreneurs are dyslexic, because we can see things from different angles. We can put problems basically out there and twirl it around and see in 3D what the problem looks like and possible scenarios. But I still write things down. I still write my goals down. And I still write, when we have challenges, we write them down and try and figure it out. Because it's funny, when you write them down, as you're writing, solutions are coming to you. So this customer is not going to pay me this week. As you write that sentence down, you should be thinking, okay, I need to ring them again. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to buy a coffee and drop into them and say, hi, how are you doing? And cheer them up a bit. And while I'm cheering them up, tell them they need to pay me because I need their money. And be very straight with them. That if they don't pay me, my business is going to suffer and my staff may suffer. Bring your problems to them. Ask them for help in solving your problems. But when you write all this down, this all affects your mental health. It helps your mental health. And that's why I say in my book, you need a shoulder to cry on. You need to have someone out there. I do it for one or two people. You need someone out there who you can talk to honestly, truthfully, who you know won't judge you, who you know won't belittle the problems that you have, and who values you for who you are. And finding that someone is not always easy. It's not always easy. You might have to search for a long time before you find that person. But when you do find that person, you'll be very glad that you have. And the more busy you get in your own business, the more busy you get as you grow your own business, the more you need someone like that. Because we all know when I was running an advertising company and we got hit by a company gone bust and they owed us £500,000. There's only one or two people I could actually talk to about that problem and where it might go. And where it went was we had to close the company down because that was our legal advice. And because one particular creditor, RTE, would have chased us for that money. Most of our other creditors who I talked to would have worked with us and helped us survive. But that one creditor, RTE, refused to help us and refused to deal with us and refused to support us going forward. Other ones like Today FM and other radio stations and other newspapers all agreed to work with us, park what we owed them, and that we pay it off over a certain period of time and work the problem through. But because we had one creditor who wouldn't, we had to close it down. But that whole problem, that whole challenge, when it happened, my head was on fire because there was so much stuff going through my head and how I was going to solve it. I was going to the worst case scenario. This is it. This is the end. It was going to be the end, but I didn't know that then. But there was someone who I could talk to who I'd known for a good few years in another business. And he's a business person also, runs his own companies. And we could have a chat and talk it through. And he had my best intentions. He only had my best intentions. So he was trying to help me work through the problem and get it out of my head. And the more I got it out of my head, the more I saw possible solutions and things we could do. Now, they don't always work out, but you are less stressed mentally if you are working on a possible solution than sitting there looking at what's wrong in front of you. It's a whole different mind frame and a whole different mindset. So if you are self-employed today and you're running your own company and you've got some big challenges ahead of you, and sometimes it can be only one challenge, maybe it's one challenge you have, and you've no one to talk to about it, can I suggest what you do is take 15 or 20 minutes, which you can afford. Take 15 or 20 minutes, pull into an Apple Green, pull into a service station, pull into a coffee shop, have a cup of coffee, get your notebook out and write down what the problem is. Just write down what the problem is. Get it out of your head into the atmosphere onto paper. Because as you write it down, ideas will start to flow. Remember, I know they will start to flow because you work for yourself. You don't work for yourself if you're not an ideas person. You don't work for yourself if you are no good at solving solutions and no good at solving problems. You are a person who comes up with solutions and overcomes challenges. Sometimes the challenges may seem like massive brick walls. It might seem like it's the Great Wall of China. It's so big. But take that 20 minutes a day to just go out and write that challenge down. Write the challenge down on a piece of paper. I'm talking about 20 minutes out of your day, which is nothing, absolutely nothing. And I guarantee you, as you write that down and as you reread that paragraph, what the challenge is, and reread it, you will start to list on the page underneath the possible solutions. And if it's money, it could be ring Michael, ring Jeremy, ring Mark, ring this, ring that company, ring them, drop into them, do this, do that, right? If it's like a business, and make up ideas how to find new business, knock on more doors, ring someone might come to mind that you were talking to 2 or 3 weeks ago who you haven't followed up with. But do yourself a favor this morning. Take that 20 minutes, and it's what I will leave you with. Take that 20 minutes to write down what your challenge is. And I call them challenges, I don't call them problems. If you call them challenges, it changed the whole prospect. And that wasn't me that came up with that idea. That was Jack Black from Mindstore. he's in a workshop I did many years ago. He said, don't think of things as problems, think of them as challenges. Because when you say the word challenge, then automatically your mind goes towards finding solutions. And he's dead right. It only works. Okay? So take 20 minutes this morning before you leave the house, before you leave the office, but do it on your own. So if you employ a few people in the company, don't go into the office because people be knocking on your door, all that type of stuff. Pull over to a service station, pull over to a coffee shop, pull over somewhere. And I'll say, get your notebook out. I'll just write, even in a paragraph, what that challenge that is making you unwell, making you lose sleep, and affecting your mental health. What is that challenge that is doing that? And then when you have it written down, start looking at possible solutions that will come from it. It works. I guarantee it works. In the meantime, if you need to contact me, I'm off to give a small, do a workshop for a company this morning that is only a couple of years in business. We're actually doing the whiteboard challenge. We're working through all the sales for the year. And I started to work with them early last week and I'm finished now today. So, but if you want to relook at any of these morning shows, they're on YouTube, right? Mind's Eye Education. I'm on every weekday morning from 7:30 for about 20 minutes. I'm now 21 minutes live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So I'm going to go off now. Let you all get on with your day. And if you need any more information, as markbeggs@gmail.com. We're on YouTube at Mind's Eye Education. And also, if you need to contact me on LinkedIn, you can just look up my name, markbeggs@gmail.com, or Mark Beggs on LinkedIn, and you will find me. So for everyone on LinkedIn this morning, Facebook, and YouTube, thanks very much for joining me. I do appreciate it. And have a great day and enjoy yourself.